This is the S to the K to the double E to the T to the R, and I'm sitting with the G to the Q, and we're sitting here with Dr. Bowers, and we're in the house today in a hot studio. George cut the air on, and we're fired up. Hello, somebody.
Yes. It's quite warm. It's quite warm today.
No, this one.
I knew I should have brought my T-shirt today. So what's going on, Radio Land, social media land? Everyone in the sound of my voice, those of you that's in your car, that's listening to KWAM 990 and FM 107.9, we welcome you to the Unleashed Voice Radio Show. It's Saturday, it's 5 o'clock, and you already know what time it is. We got a great show lined up today. We got a guest in the studio, and we got a hot topic that's going to make you uncomfortable. We're getting ready to get uncomfortable. So, Davian, do you have a rant today?
Sure. I'm trying to. Oh, it's a picture circulating on social media with Dwayne Wade, his wife, his son, his daughter, and his son has come out as gay a couple of months ago, and they've been very supportive parents, which they should be. And America is very homophobic, and I have a lot of African American people on my page who are homophobic. So I'm not going to say the black community today. I just say that America in general is very homophobic, and it's a shame that individuals want him to be a homophobic, toxic dad and disown his child and kill his child and beat the gayness out of his child. So kudos to Dwayne Wade and Magic Johnson and all the people who have Isaiah Thomas, but just the common people who have LGBT kids for loving their kids and not being the homophobic, toxic parents that some of these sick people on social media want them to be. So it's just a damn shame that people in America and black folk act the way they act when it comes to homophobia. We have a president who is breaking every law. We have fighting going on at Black Fridays. We have issues in our own family. We have health conditions. But the main issue in the world and in black conversations and black families in America is homophobia. And this is really sad. But kudos to Dwayne Wade and all those other parents who have LGBT kids for loving your kids for who they are and regardless. And that's what's on my mind.
So while you on that topic, article came out yesterday where a Brazilian woman was sentenced to 25 years for killing her son because he was gay. She hired hitmen and lured him to the house as if she wanted to reconcile with him, where they beat him, but they didn't kill him. And because they didn't kill him, she jumped in with a knife and repeatedly stabbed him. Then she and the boy's father took his body out to a field, burned him, and left it there. So Brazil sentenced her to 25 years in prison for that heinous crime against her son. Well, actually, they couldn't prove it right away, but the kudos to the police department for not giving up on what happened to him because she lied, and they were able to find through her conversations of hiring a hitman to kill him. So their computer's a bad thing, so they were able to find records of their conversation, of her contacting them and everything. And so I just really felt bad because we're coming off Thanksgiving, and you know that's a crucial time for people in the LGBTQ community where a lot of people can't go home for the holidays, or if they go home, they have to go home and pretend that they're heterosexual just to blend in or be in the family, and ridicule if they take somebody home and can't acknowledge who they bring home. This their friend, roommate, all of that tomfoolery. So it's just, it's the holidays are rough. So we had an article, How to Survive the Holidays, and I'm probably will reprint that, especially with Christmas coming up. You know, you have a lot of depression going on. Suicide is high for this community because of the rejection and the how they ostracize you and all those things. So it's just good. I like making people uncomfortable talking about this topic. And it's supposed to make you uncomfortable,
That's
especially
right.
if you're one of the people that do these things.
Exactly.
When your family members come home.
Right.
Well, come on in and introduce yourself, because I see you want to get in this.
I'm just
We got a
agreeing
guest
with
in
you.
here. Come on in.
I'm just agreeing with you. I actually say all the time to people, like, people really need to get out of the bedroom instead of allowing your mind to undress people and dim them down and water them down to their sexual acts in the bedroom. How about getting to know your family members? Like, they're people, they're whole entire people. They're not just limited to how they have sex. So I feel like people who are most uncomfortable, it's because your mind is stuck in the bedroom. Take the time to go to the living room, sit on the couch, get to know the person versus imagining whatever it is that you think they do behind closed doors. I think if people not get stuck there, they might embark on some really great relationships with folks.
I think you're being real kind, because I just think it's just hatred, because nobody really knows what goes on in nobody's bedroom.
That's very true. Absolutely.
Unless you got a video up and you invite people to come in, but once you close the doors, nobody knows. So, and I think there are a lot of things that play into that, religion, really. We're in the Bible Belt,
that's
so
right.
we gonna turn into that a little bit today. So,
Let's get in.
yeah, I know, right? So in the studio today, we have Dr. Orixa Bowers. That's going to be leading us with some of her expert advice on that subject matter today. We're going to be talking about World AIDS Day. And we're going to have a real conversation why Memphis, Tennessee is still ranked in the top 10 and for new HIV infections, and also number 1 for STDs. So why this is happening, and we're going to just bowl down the lane. We're going to start from the school system all the way around, Dr. O.
Yeah.
So, and if you don't know, tomorrow is World AIDS Day. And we're going to tell you why it's World AIDS Day and why you should be concerned and why you should care.
Yes.
So we're at our 5:15 hour, our first break. So we're going to go ahead and take our break. We're going to come back into why Memphis, Tennessee infection, HIV and AIDS and STD infection rate is so high. This is the Unleashed Voice radio show on KWAM 990, where we educate, empower, and enrich. We'll be right back.
Yeah, it's not a threat, it's a warning. Be careful with me. Yeah, my heart is like a package with a fragile label on it. Be careful with me. Care for me. Always say that you'll be there for me. Oh, you better treat me carefully. Look, I was here before all of this.
Choices is a nonprofit sexual health clinic in Midtown Memphis. We accept TennCare and offer patient assistance to help pay for needed services. Choices is proud to provide comprehensive reproductive health services in an LGBTQ-affirming environment. We offer a wide range of services, such as general wellness, fertility assistance, STI testing and treatment, reproductive health services for people living with HIV, including PrEP and PEP, birth control, Gardasil vaccinations, abortion services, miscarriage management, and services for trans and gender nonconforming people, including hormone replacement therapy. Everybody needs choices.
Let's talk about sex, baby.
In Memphis, condoms are free from Planned Parenthood and their friends all over town.
Nothing sexier than free. So check out freecondomsmemphis.org and get some.
Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex.
Want to talk about sex? Talk about condoms at freecondomsmemphis.org. Get some before you get some. freecondomsmemphis.org.
Let's talk about sex, baby.
Go get tested for HIV/AIDS because HIV/AIDS has become the third leading cause of death among African Americans between the ages of 25 and 34. Even more surprising is the fact that this disease has become the leading cause of death for African American women between the ages of 25 and 34. The spread of HIV/AIDS is the single greatest health crisis currently confronting African Americans.
Join the Cathedral Praise Church of Memphis Incorporated each Sunday at 12:30 p.m. for our Spirit-filled worship service and each Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. for our Bible study. You do not want to miss these power-packed services. We are a church for all people, and we welcome you as we transform the Memphis culture. The church is located inside Bunn Presbyterian Church at 561 South Prescott Street, Memphis, Tennessee. I'm Dr. Darnell Goose Jr., Senior Pastor of the Cathedral Praise Church of Memphis Incorporated, and I hope to see you there.
This is the city. This is their story. Some names have been changed, and so many lives have been changed too. They're going to give you the facts, just the facts. Some call this a city of crime. When they're done, it's going to be the city that cares a lot. This is the city, Memphis, Tennessee, where fearless, inspired, unfired, hungry rabble of revolutionaries has transformed hearts and minds. Not with weapons, but with their own brand of compassion, integrity, and hard work. All they're asking is for you to join their movement. It's easy to join with a donation of $20, $50, or $100. And it's all for the nonprofit organization Relationships Unleashed. With this donation, you will help enhance the 3 core principles of education, empowerment, and enrichment to the LGBTQ community and its allies. Go to www.relationshipunleashed.com on the World Wide Web, relationshipunleashed.com. All donations are tax deductible. Come on, join the movement. By the way, I don't need a badge or a gun. I carry a microphone, bub.
My best life, I made a couple L's with my best friends. Turned all my L's into lessons. You see the whip pulling up, it's like skirt. Dreams pulling up, it's like skirt.
And we're back. This is the livest show on KWAM 990 Talk Radio, the new 107.9. This is the Unleashed Voice Radio Show. We educate, empower, and enrich the community. We're going to jump into our show. If you want to call in and talk with the doctor, give us a call here at 901-260-5926. Again, our number is 901-260-5926. And we're going to begin our conversation on World AIDS Day 2019, where we want to end the epidemic of HIV and AIDS. The thing that's going around is community. So community, we can work together. Community, we can solve problems. With community, we can take over the world with the right community. But it's different themes going around, but the common word is community. And so the reason is December 1st, World AIDS Day, is a very important day. We have to remember those who have lost their lives and celebrate their success and saving and improving the lives of people living with HIV and AIDS. And then we all need to renew our commitment to ending the epidemic in the United States and around the world. It's a very important day. I know I've lost family members to this disease. I have friends who have been living many years with this disease. I know people who are living. I've served on a board at a nonprofit where they render the services to the people who are living with the disease. And so it's important that we continue our efforts to make this a normal conversation and end the stigma. And so, Dr. Bowers, you can go ahead and we can start the conversation. We can talk about why it's so important and go from the high schools on to the adults and to the senior citizens to our drug users and all the above. So let's do it.
So before you bow down, would you just give a little background on World AIDS Day and how we got to this celebration, Dr. Bowers?
Sure. So World AIDS Day was initially started in 1988. And in short, it is dedicated to raising awareness about HIV and AIDS and also mourning the lives of those who live with HIV and AIDS. Many of those individuals paved the way for us to have these wonderful programs that people are able to take advantage of that helps to extend and improve their lives, as David mentioned. But the big thing is to make sure that we send a message to the world that HIV is not gone. You know, this issue is still very prevalent and it is still impacting folks who are poor and marginalized. It doesn't have any parameters that keep people, you know, out of the space where you can be impacted. You know, I mean, I think that we have learned over the years that there isn't any one specific group of people who are at risk. We've learned some things over time, and so continuing to commemorate World AIDS Day gives us an opportunity to educate folks who don't know or are still learning about HIV, but also to send a message that we still have work to do, and to honor the lives of people who gave the ultimate price for us to be able to benefit from the science and from their lives and sharing their stories.
So one of the most people that is kind of associated with World AIDS Day is Ryan White. So a little background about Ryan White. He was a teenager that was contracted HIV and AIDS through a blood transfusion. And as a subsequent of him being infected, he was discriminated against in his school. And his services was affected, and friends didn't want him around. Parents didn't want him around their kids because they weren't educated and didn't know enough about the HIV epidemic. So Ryan wasn't gay.
Right.
You know, he was a person, just an individual person that went to the hospital.
He was a kid.
Right. A kid. So people often associate AIDS and HIV as a gay disease.
Right.
And that's why we know that this is one of the reasons that it's not talked about that much, because people don't think that it can affect them or happen to them. Right. They think it's the other people's disease. It used to be the white gay man disease. Now that's how the stigma. So while today what we want to do is remove some stigma, and we know that one way to make that happen is through education. So that's the aim of this radio show today, is to educate the general public that may not know, may not understand, so that you will know, so that it'll be easy for you to receive this information when you see people and when you talk to people. Hear people talk about it, or meet somebody that say, it's a lot of people now that wear T-shirts that say, hey, I'm HIV positive.
Well, it's a hard conversation to have. It's a needed conversation to have. We have a lot of people who are ignorant to HIV, and we'll start with our school systems. Here in the great Shelby County, what's it, SES, Shelby County Schools, sex ed is not taught. It's not a mandatory course on the book. And I think when I was in school, we had sex education.
We did too.
And I think those great legislators in Nashville, I think they put a bill up to block sex ed in schools. All those white men in Nashville. That's why it's so important for people to run for public office, to get involved, because those white men in Nashville make all these decisions for these black folk. And so that's one of the problems right there you have. You can't have a bunch of rich white men make a decision for black folk who are suffering, and they don't really give a 2 cents about them anyway. I'm just being straight up. So anyways, they passing these bills. We do not have sex ed in schools. And right now the statistics show at one point it was starting at 13 to 25. Mm-hmm. And I think we moved up to 19, but are we still at 13?
We're still at 13.
We're still at 13.
Still at 13. So let's talk about high school kids at 13 going through puberty, which is normal. Mm-hmm. Kids being around opposite sex, same sex, all that's normal. But puberty is normal. And when you go through puberty, you get a little feeling yourself.
Well, I think so I'm going to say this, I think that we have to suspend this mindset that educating a person about their body, educating young people about their body is going to lead to them having sex. Like
Right.
There is statistical data that shows that young people who know about their bodies can make informed choices.
Absolutely.
And they tend to delay sexual activity.
Yeah.
So this idea that teaching somebody about their body is going to lead to them having sex is a myth,
Right.
and it's fear-based. At the end of the day, we have to teach children about normal bodily functions. Like I when I was an educator with young people, I used to often say to them, if you are uncomfortable talking about your body or having conversation about your body parts, you should not be using them. At the end of the day, because you're not ready, you're not mature enough to make an informed choice. And so for me, it's about making sure, first off, that we get rid of this idea that teaching people about their bodies is somehow going to cause them to do an action. And I will go a step further and say that not only do young people not know about their bodies, but adults don't know about their bodies as well. And we're very, very behind in terms of knowing how to make informed decisions, how to have conversations, to negotiate condom usage, and all of these skills that you have to first know, then learn to practice in order to prevent the spread of any STD or STI or HIV or what have you.
So I'm gonna be an oxymoron. I'm gonna be okay.
Jump
So I'm
on
gonna be a
me.
devil advocate too. So you say that they make ill-informed decisions, right? And then you have our legislature that makes these decisions on abstinence-based policies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just Googled the top states that watch porn, since they say we're in the
While we
Bible
was
Belt.
talking?
Yep. So we're in the Bible Belt, right?
No, you should have Googled the top states that watch gay porn.
Okay, we can do that. You do that when I got
All
this
right.
one. So the number one state that watch the most porn, we in the Bible Belt. Drum roll. M-I-S-S-I-S-S crooked L-P-P-I-S, Mississippi.
I was about to say you spelled that wrong.
I know. I couldn't get it right.
They have sex with animals in Mississippi. What you expect?
Oh, David.
They
So-
do.
Shut off now.
So,
They're
okay,
sick.
so the top 10 states, right? We in the South. So you got Mississippi, you got West Virginia, Arkansas, Louisiana, Kentucky, Texas, Alabama. Out of these 10
Alabama.
states, 7 of them in the Bible Belt. But they say we so religious down here. But they make all these decisions, the abstinence-based decision, but these adults or these kids, somebody watching Pornhub in these 7 states out of the top 10. You know what I'm saying? Tennessee should be in there too, but
No, Tennessee's in there for.
okay, I'm gonna find it. But
Okay.
y'all stay on this subject. I'm gonna be the devil advocate to show you the hypocrisy in all of these policies that's floating around out here and what they claim that's best interest for our community. But go ahead, Dr. Bauer.
Well, I think just to your point that things that we can slip and do and hide, like we try to hide. I said it. We try to slip and hide things that we might be ashamed of, or that again that are stigmatized, like pornography or watching pornography is considered to be taboo and something that you shouldn't do. And so we continue to suppress our urges and desires around sex as if it's inhuman to desire sex or to desire pleasure. And so if we have conversations around comp sex ed, that means we have to acknowledge that people have sex. That means that we have to acknowledge that people enjoy sex and that there is something good about sex outside of procreation. So, if we open one door, we have to continue to open the windows and, the closet door and the cabinet door and the drawer and everything else in the house around this conversation. And so nobody wants to talk about it, because then that means we have to acknowledge some things about ourselves. But again, when it comes to young people, like this idea of, abstinence, like some people wait, and that's great, and that's good. Obviously, yes, if you don't have sex, then it cuts out a lot of risk. But the truth of the matter is, a lot of people don't wait. A lot of people have sex, and they have it without the information. And so my thing is, why not give them the information so that at least they have the tools that they need to be able to prevent and protect certain outcomes?
Well, they do that because they don't care. The Center for Disease Control, they declared chlamydia, gonorrhea, syphilis as a growing threat. They had a number of 2.3 million Americans, mostly teenagers, and young adults in their 20s were infected. 2.3 million. And out of that 2.3 million, most of the cases were in the South. And we, like she said before, we have some of the highest infections in greater Shelby County. So, in Shelby County, we have where in 2012, those great white men down in Nashville, they enacted a law that allowed parents to sue instructors who stray away from abstinence-centered lessons. the judge can fine you $500 if you go and say use a condom, because in our county, STDs, STIs are running rapid. The parent can come and say, I'm going to sue you, and you'll get fined, because those great white men in Nashville are passing laws that the people here in Shelby County don't pay attention to. They don't vote. They worry about who's gay and who's not, but they don't worry about any of these laws that these great white men in Nashville are passing. That's why it's important to get involved in politics, because of things like this. And some of these people, they want classes to be taught separately by gender, which is crazy.
And our 3 neighboring states, Tennessee, Arkansas, and Mississippi, all have these same similar strict laws.
Yeah, matter of fact, DeSoto County, they have an abstinent-only policy in their schools where it prohibits teachers from teaching about sex, abortion, or showing how to use a condom.
Yeah.
And I said 3 states, Tennessee, Mississippi, and Arkansas.
It's crazy.
But give me a drum roll. I'm being a devil advocate. These 3 states watch more gay porn than anywhere in the country.
Now hold up, what's the number?
Mississippi is number 1.
What's the number to count?
So the count is broken down in percentages.
All right.
So right now, Mississippi is 5.6% watch gay porn, and in Florida it's coming up, and that's Mississippi, that's Georgia, that's that's Alabama, that's Georgia.
No, I need the total number, because
so they don't give me the total number in this one right here, but in tracking,
there it is, 35 million daily.
Oh yeah.
We don't even have 35 million reported gay people in the world. That's my point. My point was that right there. We do not. Okay, they say 35 million people watch gay porn daily. We don't even have 35 million gay people in the world, quote unquote. But in these great southern states, they got high numbers of porn. So Uncle Jim them watching some gay porn.
Somebody looking at
these
TV.
Hypocrites. We gotta take a break.
So
you hypocrites, you terrorists. Y'all, I almost cussed. You are some terrorists. You are terrorists and you're hypocrites. And want to call me gay, but you watching gay porn. What kind of mess is that? This is the live show on KWAM 990 Talk Radio, where we unleash it today.
See what y'all doing?
Yeah. Damn hypocrites. This is an Unleash Voice Radio show. Uncle Jim, get off that site.
With crucifix, I cannot strip on stupid shit. I stand out like I'm ludicrous. I know some folks that talk so much you think they drive a Uber whip. Queen said while we in the queen bed, I said it's yours, don't worry, little bean head. I'm just here to catch my breath, I got a world tattoo. She said cool, just bring me some food. All my days I pray and pray.
Join the Cathedral Praise Church of Memphis Incorporated each Sunday at 12:30 p.m. for our Spirit-filled worship service, and each Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. for our Bible study. You do not want to miss these power-packed services. We are a church for all people, and we welcome you as we transform the Memphis culture. The church is located inside Bunn Presbyterian Church at 561 South Prescott Street, Memphis, Tennessee. I'm Dr. Darnell Goose Jr., Senior Pastor of the Cathedral Praise Church of Memphis Incorporated, and I hope to see you there.
Go get tested for HIV/AIDS, because HIV/AIDS has become the 3rd leading cause of death among African Americans between the ages of 25 and 34. Even more surprising is the fact that this disease has become the leading cause of death for African American women between the ages of 25 and 34. The spread of HIV/AIDS is the single greatest health crisis currently confronting African Americans.
This is the city. This is their story. Some names have been changed, and so many lives have been changed too. They're going to give you the facts, just the facts. Some call this a city of crime. When they're done, it's going to be the city that cares a lot. This is the city, Memphis, Tennessee, where fearless, inspired, unfired, hungry rabble of revolutionaries has transformed hearts and minds. Not with weapons, but with their own brand of compassion, integrity, and hard work. All they're asking is for you to join their movement. It's easy to join with a donation of $20, $50, or $100. And It's all for the nonprofit organization Relationships Unleashed. With this donation, you will help enhance the 3 core principles of education, empowerment, and enrichment to the LGBTQ community and its allies. Go to www.relationshipunleashed.com on the World Wide Web, relationshipunleashed.com. All donations are tax deductible. Come on, join the movement. By the way, I don't need a badge or a gun. I carry a microphone, bub.
Let's talk about sex, baby.
In Memphis, condoms are free from Planned Parenthood and their friends all over town.
Nothing sexier than free. So check out freecondomsmemphis.org and get some.
Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex.
Want to talk about sex? Talk about condoms at freecondomsmemphis.org. Get some before you get some. freecondomsmemphis.org.
Let's talk about sex, baby.
Choices is a nonprofit sexual health clinic in Midtown Memphis. We accept 10 care and offer patient assistance to help pay for needed services. Choices is proud to provide comprehensive reproductive health services in an LGBTQ affirming environment. We offer a wide range of services such as general wellness, fertility assistance, STI testing and treatment, reproductive health services for people living with HIV including PrEP and PEP, birth control, Gardasil vaccinations, abortion services, miscarriage management, and services for trans and gender nonconforming people, including hormone replacement therapy. Everybody needs choices.
Sunny, I get paid to rap on beats. How much money you got? A lot. How many problems you got? A lot. How many people done doubted you? A lot. Left you out.
And we back. How many statistics we got? A lot. How many folks watch Pornhub? A lot. And we're back. This is the live show on KWAM 990 Talk Radio. This is the Unleashed Voice, where we educate, empower, enrich the community. We're talking about World AIDS Day. We're talking about these laws these great white men have enacted. But we got one phone call on the line. Caller, you live on the live show on KWAM 990 Talk Radio. What's on your mind?
My people, how are you?
How you doing?
Brother David.
I want to wish, I keep missing GQ. I want to wish you a great holiday season, sister.
Why, thank you, brother.
Wait a minute. And she's the only person in the studio? I got another woman over here, 3 women in here.
Well, I was going to get to them if you let me get to them. What? We sure are touching today.
You gotta be quick. You gotta be quick.
What's going on, Dave? What can we do for you, baby?
Y'all got a hello to your guest.
Hello, how are you?
Hello, Doc. And I ain't speaking to that other guy. But anyway, now I've already wished you a great holiday season.
You did, brother. You did.
Yeah. First of all, I probably added to those straight numbers of pornography in Tennessee. So today, I'm just being honest. But I'm old enough to remember when we first heard about the disease.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows you how conditioned we are to hate somebody, that even in my biology and class in high school and some college, that when I heard about how they were explained, I said, that doesn't make scientific sense.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But we were being set up because we wanted to believe that they got this disease because of what they did.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I asked people, I said, well, wait a minute now. But if it's always been a sin, you telling me God just got around to them this late?
Right.
Okay, all right.
I'm just saying, just explain that to me.
Yeah.
So who was God dealing with all that other time?
Mm-mm.
And what was they saying?
Right.
So instead of dealing with it properly, our own prejudice helped to perhaps spread it even farther.
True.
Than dealing with it as we should have been dealing with it properly.
Mm-hmm.
So I know of 4 people in my life who died, 2 sisters, one from a transfusion, one from, we believe that my husband who would come out of jail because he subsequently died,
mm-hmm.
a family member by marriage, and a college friend, all good people.
Mm-hmm.
all good people
Mm-hmm.
that the world certainly would miss.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think, too, that growing up African American, I've been African American most of my life,
Me too.
that we have been conditioned to think of the gay community by sex first.
Yes, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, nothing else, you know.
That's good.
And it's kind of like sadly picturing Jesus as anything other than white.
Right.
And we were conditioned to think that for a long time.
Yep.
Exactly. Regardless of whether they're good people or not, whether they contribute something to society, no, we can't take you seriously because of what you do,
Yes.
because of who you love, because who you're with.
What?
There's some crazy, messed up stuff that they put into our heads.
Mm-hmm.
But mind you now, some of these same people think someone who is antithetical to whatever Jesus was, Donald Trump, is sent by God.
Absolutely. And well, David, we got to go on with the show. You brought up a great point, and we're gonna segue into something you said, but we got to move on with the show. We got about 15 minutes left.
I know I'm long-winded. Just say it.
It's all good.
Hey, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Add
David.
to the conversation. Thanks for tuning in.
All right.
All right.
But he brought up a great point. The words of Brother Malcolm. Who taught you to hate yourself?
They parents,
Who taught you
their pastors,
to hate yourself?
grandma, grandpa.
That should be the motto for every time somebody come up with some bull crap. Who taught you? Malcolm X said it. Who taught you to hate yourself? Somebody taught you to hate.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to jump into these schools. That's good. We were conditioned to think about the gay community, about sex first. That's good.
So
that was the battle we had here.
So some recent numbers came out. Write that down so you can remember.
I did.
Came out about some schools identified in Shelby County. So Dr. Bowers, is it 5 or 6 schools, high schools, that are on that list?
I want to say it's 5.
Mm-hmm.
Then you all need to listen to this.
So there, while we do have a law here in the state that prohibits comprehensive sexual health education in the schools, there was some federal funding that came down that was designated for entities to go into a certain number of schools in a specific zip code area, whereby they are able to talk about certain topics because there is such a high rate of STI infections in that community. And
So
I mean,
for the people that don't know what STI means,
sexual transmitted infection.
Okay.
And so, there are certain schools where they have a relationship with the health department. And I know you all will talk a little bit more about your experience at Tresvant. But certain zip code areas in Shelby County have been designated as high risk areas. And so because there's such a high prevalence, such high numbers in those communities, they are receiving education through some community partners. But the issue is for me as a person who is concerned about the health of the entire community, why wait until we reach that kind of that level of an issue before we decide to go in and intervene?
So that's called reactive, right? Instead of being proactive.
Why not do it up front?
Because we're getting a precursor that this is going to happen, because all statistical data tell us that
correct
abstinence and not teaching it to the kids is not working.
Correct. Sister Reach, and I want to shout back out the magazine one more time, pick you up an issue. Okay. Sister Reach did a research study with parents, teachers, and students right here in Shelby County a couple of years back. And the data is out there. The data is there. Parents do actually. So just to step back to a point that you made earlier about the law, like nobody consulted parents to ask them a thing about whether or not they wanted their children to receive Comp 6 Ed. Their decision was made and then just enacted upon us. But Sister Reach took the time to do a study to go out and ask parents in Shelby County, if they wanted their kids to be taught. And 90-something% of those parents said yes. And in fact, the law is so cryptic that parents actually didn't realize that students weren't receiving Comp 6 Ed. So, I mean, we can dig into that on a different show, but, you know,
We'll have
there
part
is
two.
there is an actual effort to keep young people from getting that information. But the result of that is these high numbers that you see across the community, and people like to talk about how teen pregnancy rates went down. However, just giving somebody a contraceptive doesn't prevent them from becoming anything but pregnant. It doesn't stop them from contracting the STD or STI. And so my thing is, why react to something when we have the tools and resources that are right at our disposal? We can go out and do the work. There are agencies that are out here ready to do the work, but the law prohibits them from doing it.
So here's another alarming number that I got doing a little research, that the CDC says about 100 people a day learn that they have HIV. And in new cases, STDs is called a growing threat. And they said that last year, and this is a 2018 record that I guess it was 2017, 2.3 million Americans, mostly teens and young adults in their 20s, learned that they were affected. And most of these cases occurred in the South.
Yep. Well, this is the issue right here. These white men do not care about black folks. I said that earlier.
You did.
Those stats. These white men who make these laws, because the law that we have currently on the books here in Tennessee, it limits sex education to abstinence center curriculum. But if you live in a county where they have a high rate of pregnancy, you can talk about it. So my point is, those counties with the high rate of pregnancies are like white counties. And so, of course, the white men gonna care about the white girls getting pregnant, but they don't care about the black folks who look like me and the black girls who look like you getting STDs, STIs, HIV, and AIDS. They don't care about those people. So my point is, these white men don't care. But once again, you people who don't vote, I'm gonna get on you folks who don't vote. You don't vote, you can't say nothing. You can't even open your mouth because our people are dying because you don't care, because you say your vote don't matter. These people running for these representatives and these state positions, they don't care. And so my point is this: we have to do something. And we have these 5 schools that have been affected, and these kids
right now,
and these kids who are suffering, and these hypocritical terrorist people who are on these porn sites, searching these porn sites and everything. And so I'm just fed up with these racist, toxic, white politicians in Nashville who think they run the states and the world. We got a caller. Caller, you live on the live show on KWAM 990 Talk Radio. What's on your mind?
Well, if anything's going to get done, it's going to have to be by us and taking your lead, because I can feel your vibe, brother. That's the only way we as African American people. My name is Chris, by the way. I'm sorry.
Hey, brother Chris.
Anyway, unless we get mad and start doing for ourselves, nothing will get done.
Hey, Chris, I totally agree.
You make a good point. Nashville doesn't care what happens in this county except when it affects those areas such as we already know.
Yeah, you can say it.
I got a little story for you.
All right.
Grids, you know what that is?
Yes.
What do you say?
Just like you said, it started off as a white man's disease back in the 50s.
They call it gay-related
immunodeficiency syndrome.
Yeah,
it's the old name.
That's the old name.
That's the first name, because only gay white men used to get it.
Oh yeah, but you know what? They demanded that something be done.
Exactly.
Money be poured in for research. That's how these organizations started. They stood up, and they're I don't even know what their numbers are. I got some numbers in front of me, but go ahead, sir. We're gonna try to.
But anyway, you remember who died from it?
Oh yeah,
Brady Bunch's father. What was his name? Reed.
But they didn't really take notice until the rich white guys at the average school started getting infected, and those politicians' sons and stuff started dying.
Yeah, on Wall Street.
Now,
right.
I'm gonna tell you. I don't know how old all y'all are, but I'm pushing 61 now.
Oh, I remember when it started. I'm 56, so I was
okay. So you remember?
Yeah, I lost a lot of friends.
You remember when Magic Johnson came out?
Yep.
Okay, I was in my 20s then. and I was I was driving down the 405 freeway coming back from you remember the Love Connection?
Yeah.
Yep.
I was on that show.
Okay.
Oh, really?
And so the night that he came out, the show cut off early that night, and I was the last contestant on it. And when I was driving down the 405, Magic Johnson had come out earlier that day saying that he had some important news about his career in basketball. And so that's when he came out and said that he had the disease.
It was in 1991.
I'm sorry?
It was in 1991.
Exactly. 1991. And so here's the thing. The brother that's on there right now, if we don't pay attention and vote, we have nothing to say.
Absolutely.
But our dilemma is among ourselves because we have to show that we care through these forums, through action, through proactiveness, and through diligence to teach our kids the value of their selves.
That's right.
Yes.
And so when we go into these schools and we have all this information, we give it to them, and it is up to us to urge them that this is the street, the road, the way that you need to go to protect yourself and to live a prosperous and long and healthy life.
Amen.
I agree. Hey, we thank you
Thanks for calling
so much.
in, brother.
We're gonna try
Good
to
enough.
cover some more
Thank you.
stuff.
I'm listening.
Hey, we appreciate you. We appreciate you so
and
much.
we're gonna. This is my last thing saying about this rant. This is another example how these white politicians who are in these privileged positions don't care. The crack epidemic killed all our black folks.
Yep.
The opium epidemic came
if
out.
it didn't kill them, they locked up.
Okay, they in jail. Now we're going crazy over the opioid epidemic because all the white folks are on it. But when the black man, when they threw the crack in our community and brought them over in the ships and the airplanes, nothing was done. Matter of fact, they said lock them up. What did Reagan say? The war on drugs.
This is your brain. This is just say no.
Yeah.
Nancy Reagan.
Nancy Reagan. So whatever. So we have to wake up. But let's jump back. We got like 5 minutes to talk about these schools, what we can do, and how we can stay involved.
I'm gonna run down some statistics. You know, I'm a statistic woman. So in 2018, Black, African Americans, and Hispanic Latinos accounted for 69% of HIV diagnosis, but comprised only 31% of the United States population. And the white group is like really on the low end of the spectrum for new infections. So Dr. Bowers, come on in.
Well, I feel like the reason why we see that, it goes back to some of the things that we're highlighting. If you walk into most schools, parochial schools, or schools that are private schools, those students receive comprehensive sex ed.
They do.
You know, they're doing this work. There are lots of white faith-based institutions and churches who are teaching comp sex ed to those young people, and they're taking the opportunity while they have their attention to give them that information. And so I think that it goes back to the comment that the colleges made, like teaching the children to value themselves and teaching them that this is the way to protect yourself and to keep yourself safe. But because we want to just say, you know, don't do. I mean, the age-old adage, you can say don't touch the hot iron all day long, but as soon as that iron is sitting there and you're not looking, that hand is going up there.
Yeah.
And, you know, we are punitive in our communities. We want to punish folks all the time for everything. And we should know better. We should know that punishing folks that doesn't change their behavior.
Nope.
What we're trying to do is do behavior change. And how you do behavior change is you give people information to make an informed choice.
Yeah.
Right?
So on tomorrow, we will be at 561 South Prescott. That's the Bun Presbyterian Church, but the Cathedral Praise Church of Memphis Incorporated, pastored by Dr. Gooch. We're going to have a World AIDS Day service where we're going to call out the names of individuals. We're going to have representatives there from the community. And we're going to pay our respects to those individuals whose lives have been lost and those individuals who are still living. And we'll be there at 12:30. Cathedral Praise Church of Memphis Incorporated. We will have a World AIDS Day service. Let me put some pressure on you black folks, black churches, you black nonprofits and foundations. You have to get involved too. You can't sit back and say this is the gay disease. This disease affects everybody. So put pressure on these black folk, these black politicians to say the word HIV, to say the word World AIDS Day. Put pressure on them. And you have to be inclusive when you represent people. You can't just represent one segment of people. And so, once again, I blame you folks who don't vote, and I blame you who you let these politicians get away with these things, and they just monolithic. Put pressure on people. You have to represent the whole segment of the world. And we will be representing this people. We represent everybody. So We'll be there on tomorrow. Follow on Facebook, Cathedral Praise Church of Memphis Incorporated, and on Instagram and on Twitter. And you can send us a message on Unleashed Voice. Dr. Bowers, you got like 1 minute, wrap it up. We got to get out of here.
Give people the tools that they need to make informed choices or to reduce the harm that can come to them from behaviors that they do. Hey, abstinence and not doing it that's not for everybody. So if they're not going to stop, give them the tools that they need to reduce any kind of harm.
And I'll say my piece, I'm going to be quiet. As of 18, we have about 6,600 individuals living in Shelby County with HIV and AIDS, according to CDC. And 1 of 7 people who are living do not know what caused it or what happened to get it. So we have to be informed. Education is the way. Community makes the difference. World AIDS Day 2019 is tomorrow. Community, community, community.
And so Monday, we're going to be down at the Lander, right there on the riverfront, with the health department celebrating, releasing lanterns at 5 p.m. in memory of those who's no longer here with us, and honoring those that are here that are with AIDS and HIV. So we're big advocates for our community. There's just one facet of the work that we do here, and we just thank for the acknowledgement from the Shelby County Health Department for being awarded the business organization for raising awareness for AIDS and HIV, the Unleashed Voice media firm. So we humbly accept that, and we thank you, and we won't stop. We're not going to stop no matter how uncomfortable you get. So we hope that you enjoyed this show, and we're going to maybe do part 2. We got to really help y'all understand what's going on in our community. This is Gwen, and speaking for David and our guest, Dr. Bowers. We out. Thank you.
You ain't never heard a show like this. Wanna keep it real like this. Wanna play nothing but hits.